Presidential visits to factories are usually carefully staged photo ops, leaders donning hard hats, shaking hands with workers, and projecting unity with American industry. These events are designed to send a message. The president stands shoulder to shoulder with the people who build a nation. Cameras flash, workers smile, and the script rarely changes. It's a familiar scene repeated across decades and administrations, meant to reassure the public that their leaders are in touch with the realities of working Americans. But this week in Dearborn, Michigan, that script was torn up in dramatic fashion. The air was thick with anticipation as the president's motorcade rolled up to the Ford F-150 plant, a symbol of American manufacturing might. Workers lined the walkways, some eager, others skeptical, all aware that this was no ordinary day at the factory. President Trump arrived expecting a routine event, another opportunity to highlight American jobs and manufacturing. He walked the factory floor with executives, exchanging pleasantries and posing for the cameras, confident that the day would unfold as planned. But then, the unexpected happened. A United Auto Workers employee, breaking the usual silence of these orchestrated events, stepped forward and hurled a pointed accusation at the president. The room fell silent as the worker's voice echoed through the cavernous space, shattering the carefully constructed image of unity. Instantly, the event was derailed. What was meant to be a seamless PR opportunity spiraled into chaos as reporters scrambled to capture the moment, and the story spread like wildfire. The confrontation became a national headline within hours, dominating news cycles and social media feeds. The workers' outburst wasn't about policy or party lines, it was deeply personal, raw, and explosive. It was a rare, unscripted moment that revealed the frustration and anger simmering beneath the surface, emotions that rarely make it onto the evening news. Suddenly, the factory floor was transformed. What had started as a symbol of American unity became a battleground for the nation's political divisions. Workers argued among themselves, some supporting the president, others siding with their colleague. As the tension in the room became palpable, the incident captured the anger and unrest simmering beneath the surface of American life, an anger that's often hidden but never far from boiling over. It was a stark reminder that beneath the surface of these staged events, real emotions and real conflicts persist. And as we'll see, the fallout was immediate and intense, igniting a fierce national debate about free speech, power, and respect in the workplace. The story didn't end on the factory floor, it was just beginning, as the country grappled with what this moment really meant. So, what exactly happened? How did a single moment inside a Michigan factory become the spark for a nationwide debate, and why did it resonate so deeply with millions of Americans? Let's rewind to the beginning of that day, a day that seemed ordinary until it wasn't. As Trump walked the factory floor, surrounded by a mix of curious workers and tense security, a single voice cut through the hum of machinery. The worker shouted, "You're a pedophile protector," a phrase that instantly shattered the routine and electrified the atmosphere. The accusation echoed through the plant, halting the presidential entourage in their tracks. Conversations stopped mid-sentence, machines seemed to quiet, and all eyes turned toward the confrontation. For a brief moment, time itself seemed to pause. Trump didn't ignore it. He stopped, turned, and appeared to mouth a two-word expletive, punctuated by a middle finger. The gesture was unmistakable, a flash of raw emotion rarely seen from a sitting president in such a public setting. The tension in the air was palpable, as if everyone present realized they were witnessing something that would not be forgotten. The entire exchange was caught on a smartphone. Of course. In today's world, every moment is a potential headline, and someone was already recording, their hands shaking as they captured history in real time. The footage was grainy, but the drama was crystal clear. Within hours, the video exploded online, sparking instant analysis and outrage. Social media feeds lit up with hashtags, memes, and heated arguments. News outlets scrambled to replay the footage, dissecting every gesture and word. The clip was shared, retweeted, and commented on by millions, each person adding their own interpretation. Suddenly, everyone was a body language expert, dissecting every frame. Was it really a middle finger? What did his lips say? Did the president mean to react, or was it a slip? Online forums and cable news panels filled with slow-motion replays and heated debates as people tried to decode the meaning behind the moment. The clip became a political Rorschach test. Trump's supporters saw justified anger, a leader standing up to disrespect and refusing to back down. For them, it was a moment of authenticity, a sign that their president was unafraid to show emotion and fight back. His critics, on the other hand, saw a lack of presidential restraint. They argued that the gesture was beneath the dignity of the office, a sign of impulsiveness and disrespect that only deepened the country's divisions. For them, it was proof of everything they feared about his leadership style. The story was no longer about a heckler, it was about the president's response. Headlines shifted focus, talk shows debated the meaning of the gesture, and political commentators weighed in on what it all meant for the nation's future. The original accusation faded into the background, replaced by a new controversy. The Dearborn factory floor became the stage for a viral drama, perfectly illustrating America's deep divide. In that industrial space, the nation's tensions played out in real time, with every gesture and word magnified by the lens of social media. Two people, one moment, and two completely different realities. The same footage was seen as either a badge of honor or a mark of shame, depending on who was watching. It was a reminder of how divided the country had become, and how even the smallest moments could be blown up into national controversies. The incident was replayed endlessly, fueling debates across the country. Families argued at dinner tables, co-workers whispered in break rooms, and strangers clashed in comment sections. The video became more than just a clip. It became a symbol of the times. In the digital age, a few seconds of video can define a national conversation. What happened on that factory floor was more than just a confrontation. It was a reflection of a nation on edge, where every word and gesture can go viral, and every moment can become a battleground for America's soul. Where did that accusation come from? It wasn't random. The workers' words referenced Trump's past association with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender. Old photos and reports have fueled conspiracy theories and public suspicion for years. Many believe powerful people have shielded Epstein's secrets, and the slow release of related files only adds to the frustration. The workers' outburst tapped into this anger, a mix of legitimate questions and conspiracy. In that moment, the factory floor became a flashpoint for distrust in institutions and the powerful. Unsurprisingly, the worker was quickly suspended by Ford. The company faced a dilemma: maintain order or get dragged into a political firestorm. The United Auto Workers Union was caught in the middle, defending a member but wary of the fallout. Details of the suspension were murky, fueling speculation. Was this about workplace conduct or silencing dissent? Supporters saw corporate overreach, others saw justified discipline. The HR department suddenly found itself at the center of a national debate. The workers' fate became a symbol of the clash between free speech and workplace rules. The White House didn't hold back. Communications Director Stephen Chung called the worker a lunatic, defending Trump's reaction as appropriate. The message: no apologies, just doubling down. Meanwhile, the DNC seized the moment, questioning why the Epstein accusation triggered such a strong response from Trump. They suggested his anger revealed deeper discomfort. The DNC ignored the workers' suspension, focusing on the president's reaction and the lingering Epstein scandal. Both sides used the incident to score political points. The confrontation became a new front in the ongoing culture war. Michigan's congressional delegation quickly got involved. Representative Rashida Tlaib argued the workers' suspension showed a political double standard. Workers who insulted Obama weren't punished like this. She suggested criticism of Trump carries a higher price. Representative Debbie Dingell pressed Ford for answers, questioning whether the suspension violated free speech rights. Their involvement turned a local incident into a national flashpoint. The debate shifted from workplace conduct to civil liberties and political fairness. Tlaib and Dingell's statements amplified the workers' cause. The story became about more than rudeness. It was about the right to speak truth to power. The lines were drawn, with politicians ready to fight a proxy war. The factory floor was now a battleground for American values. This incident raises tough questions about free speech at work. When employees voice their opinions, especially on controversial topics, it can create tension between individual rights and the need for a productive, orderly workplace. Many workers believe that their right to speak out should be protected, but the reality is often more complicated. The First Amendment protects speech from government censorship, not from private employers. This distinction is crucial. While the Constitution guarantees freedom of expression in public spaces and shields citizens from government retaliation, it does not extend those same protections to the private sector. In the workplace, different rules apply, and employers have significant leeway to set standards for behavior and communication. Ford isn't the government, and the factory floor isn't a public square. The company has the authority to decide what conduct is acceptable within its walls, and that includes limiting speech that could disrupt operations or create conflict among employees. Employers can enforce conduct rules to maintain order. These rules are designed to keep the workplace safe, respectful, and focused on the job at hand. Sometimes that means restricting certain types of speech or behavior that might be seen as disruptive or divisive. Ford argued the suspension was about disruption, not politics. The company claimed it was responding to a violation of workplace policy, not targeting anyone's political beliefs. This is a common defense among employers facing similar controversies. Supporters countered that the president is a public official, and criticism should be protected. They argue that punishing employees for expressing political opinions, especially about elected leaders, undermines democratic values and chills open debate. Is it fair to punish political speech at work, especially when aimed at the powerful? For many, the answer isn't clear-cut. Some believe that employees should be able to speak their minds, while others worry that unchecked expression could harm workplace harmony. The debate exposes a gray area where corporate policy and democratic principles collide. Companies must balance their need for order with respect for individual rights, and there's no easy formula for getting it right. If similar outbursts against Obama went unpunished, is this even-handed? Consistency in enforcing workplace rules is essential to avoid accusations of bias or double standards, and to maintain trust among employees. The Dearborn incident forces us to confront the limits of protest and expression in the workplace. As society continues to grapple with these issues, the line between personal rights and professional responsibilities remains as blurred as ever. So, was the worker right? Some say yes, he confronted power, forcing a difficult issue into the spotlight. Others argue he was reckless, using his employer's time and property for a personal protest. Trump's reaction also split opinion. Supporters saw authenticity, critics saw a lack of leadership. The president's response became a symbol of his combative style. Critics argued he should have shown restraint, rising above the fray. The incident exposed the tension between authenticity and decorum in leadership. Both the worker and the president were seen as either heroes or villains, depending on perspective. The fallout left everyone, company, union, politicians, caught in the crossfire. The event became a case study in the complexities of speech, power, and responsibility. The Dearborn incident is more than a viral video, it's a snapshot of America's divisions. Every player is both hero and villain depending on your view. The event forces us to ask, what are the limits of protest? Where does free speech end and workplace order begin? The consequences will ripple outward, shaping debates on labor rights and political speech. Ford, the union, and the president are all caught in a culture war that's now on the assembly line. The story is less about a clear moral and more about a fractured nation. The shouting match on the factory floor mirrors the one happening across America. The real question: can we still agree on the basic rules of engagement?